It is today almost 50,000 people for 16 million euros being offered in over 40 countries with people in immense need of help. I am absolutely astonished in what the team has done in the same mix of the unknown on getting closer to anybody who is looking for shelter, who is looking for help, who is looking for a room.
Cet effet avec le Bureau Veritas, avec lequel nous avons rebâti tout ce parcours client de manière à avoir des marqueurs et donc des éléments de preuve donnés à nos clients quand ils rentrent dans notre hôtel.
Rassurez-vous, quand les hôtels seront ouverts, alors là, ils seront clean de chez clean.
Wherever you are, within one touch, one phone call away, you'll get direct benefit of thousands of vetted medical professionals affiliated with AXA. That company will go through the storm. That company has the means to react and to rebound. And I want each of you to be there with me back at the time we're going to be rebounding.
The new normal, where we found fresh perspectives on life, where we faced unprecedented truths and discovered unimagined opportunities. A world where technology brings us closer, so we can learn from one another to co-create a better future. Where innovation isn't just centered on the new, it is designed to enrich what already exists. Where robotics and artificial intelligence accelerate the pace of upskilling, and genetics and biotech re-engineer life and its expectancy. Where our yesterdays build experience, and our todays generate resilience. Where we are all stronger together. And as we take a step forward, it's time to say, join us, make your mark. Welcome to the pioneers, the path definers, and the game changers amongst us. Welcome to a new way of thinking. Welcome to Dubai.
A very warm good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are listening to us from today's session. I am very excited to be with you today and to be able to introduce to you an interview that is going to be great. We're going to have with us, or we do have with us, Sebastien Bazin, who is the CEO of Groupe Accor, and we have His Excellency Helal Saeed Almarri, the Director General of Dubai Tourism, who is joining us from Dubai. Thanks, first of all, for being with us today, and to at the very least use this ability to basically connect people across continents in an otherwise difficult situation, but we'll make the best out of it today. We'll have about 40 minutes for the interviews. There will be the opportunity of asking questions. Please do submit your questions. We would look forward to taking them in the last 20 minutes. And otherwise, I would propose to you that we start right away and get into the essence of it. Starting with you, Your Excellency, we have come out of a horrible year, which had a lot of nice experiences nevertheless, in the human level, in the connectivity level, in the innovation level of what we've been able to do. But looking forward over the last 12 months, would you please share with us a little bit the chronology of the 1 or 2 points which you felt were the most marking for yourself and for your organizations, the ones which were turning points to the good or the bad over the last 12 months?
Look, first and foremost, I have to say thanks for having me, and definitely my thanks go out to all of the frontline staff that have kept us safe over this period. And I also would thank His Highness Shah Mohammed and the leadership of Dubai for all the decisive decision making we've seen over the past year. We definitely have to go back to the beginning. In Dubai, we were definitely one of the first to shut our borders and to shut the airline, and it obviously came as a great shock to everyone. The reaction we had from the industry was extremely interesting. The hospitality industry stepped forward immediately and offered it full service to deal with this pandemic. So we basically had the coming together of the hospitality industry and the healthcare industry together. So very quickly, we had people staying in isolation on the Palm Island in some of the best hotels in the world, and that was back in April. And so as the Department of Tourism, we had to suddenly become experts in how to coordinate between the healthcare and hospitality sectors and really get things under control. Now, we were lucky here that we got things under control very, very quickly. And I think it's based on, the authorities here really came together and built quickly on the limited data that was available at that time. What happened is when we opened back up for leisure tourism in May, we opened for domestic tourism. So we basically were lucky enough that the sector, and I guess all the 200 nationalities living in Dubai, embraced this new COVID normal. So the precautionary measures we put in place for every single subsector, whether it's restaurants or gyms or beaches or any other activities, even sea activities we had to do it for, the sector kind of embraced it and they kind of took over it. They kind of we went with this Dubai Assured, and they all really played ball. And so, although when you look at it, we've had over 170,000 inspections over the last year. And we've had to close some places down, but what managed to happen is we managed to achieve a real balance, with the industry, and we have full government support. So if you look today, we've conducted over 33 million tests, which is 3 times the population. We've also managed to, vaccinate over 50% of the population. For example, we finished vaccinating all of the hotels on Palm Island, all the frontline staff. We're going through all of the hospitality sector. So I think this sort of proactive approach and the consistency with which all the organizations, both public and private sector, have addressed this, have really helped people. I wouldn't say, stay well in the green, but it's definitely helped them to, help the companies here trend towards break even, and manage to sort of manage their way through this pandemic in a very sort of safe way, but one that's open to tourism.
Oh, perfect. And also personally, thank you very much for indeed creating these staycations, because that's the only place where I was able to go last summer. So that was indeed a great bonus to an otherwise nasty situation. Sebastien, I've seen an interview with you. It was on TF1. It was Mise en Point, I believe, about 4 months ago, quite a long section. And it was one of the interviews that marked me the most, listening to leaders sharing from their different content. So you were determined, you were combative in a positive way. You were really, really protective of your teams and your staff. When you look back over the past, also 12 months or how it has gone, when were some of the points where you started having the feeling again, saying we're turning into constructive rather than defensive again? Do you recall when that was?
Nick, Your Excellency, it's so good to be with you. It's an honor to be there. Nick, I have to tell you, I must have been a good actor because I did not control anything then. So if anything you have to do when you're in front of certainly unknown territories, we had no idea where we're going, except we knew it would be very bad, out of control. So the first thing you have to do, there's 2 things to be done where in my position. The first thing is caring for your owners, for your employees, make sure they're safe, make sure they have access to hospital, and make sure you're there for them because they need you. The second thing you have to do is, even though you don't know much, you have to communicate. And you have to admit you don't know many things, you don't have all the answers to the questions, but you want to be present in front of your team because they're looking for a leader. And this is something that we've learned over the last few months. And Your Excellency, I have to congratulate the Dubai rulers and the team. What you have done is just remarkable because you have been showing the way. You have been caring for so many people, including all the staff of Accor, providing vaccinations. If you have any extra, France, we're missing quite a bit. So it'd be great for you to send some over. But seriously, it's one of those occasions, and hopefully 5 years from now, we would probably certainly not regret, but we have learned so much about ourselves. And I was so proud of the empowerment, agility, generosity of all the teams on the ground without seeking any permission from me, they're being actors, they're being providing help, they're being offering premises, they're really being caring for others. And for me, if any lessons is I need to give the keys to the people on the ground. They know so much better. They have the bone, they have the expertise, and they have the wisdom to operate. So we're never going to go back. That group has been simplified, reorganized, and probably a lot has to do with what I've learned over the last 7 months. I just need we out of it. It's going to be another 6 weeks here in France or in Europe. I mean, you know in what stage we're in, which is very difficult. But I am so optimistic and that provided vaccination is being displayed, we're going to have a great spring and a great summer. There is so much eagerness from so many people to leave and get back their life. I think Dubai certainly will be one of the first one to rebound, but all of us will be rebounding very nicely. So let's not forget about what we've been going through, but let's basically look 3 weeks or 3 months ahead, and it's going to be rosy days.
Wow, brilliant. And you just gave me the bridge word for this, right? The rebound. And I think we're starting to sense it. Maybe we're also very eager to see it. But Helal, you actually have to plan for the rebound, right? You and your teams have to be ready with offers, with safety protocols, with aligning your stakeholders, your industry. I don't want to use the crystal ball and say when will it happen, because we all don't know. But what are you looking for as you decide, I'm going to start this action, or I'm going to initiate this strategy, or I will increase the pace in a certain activity? As you look forward, or as you daily come to the office and say, how do I think about COVID today? What are some of the elements that you're looking for on the ground that we may also start looking at to starting building a view of when we are really rebounding and how we are really rebounding?
Look, I think it's very important to note that we're talking about the COVID period, right? Because right now we are all of us living through this COVID period. And when it comes to international markets, Dubai has a strategy based on extreme diversification of source markets. So we've always had that. People visit from all over the world, and we talk about 1% from here, 0.5% from here, and everything else. The interesting thing in COVID, this actually was quite a blessing, because markets opened and shut based on the day of the week. And what we found is as we looked around, we didn't see very clear policies coming out. We'd have a policy with a certain geography for a certain period of time. They'd change their policy, and then we'd have another policy. So we had to move around that, and we respect everybody's approach to this, and I think there's no right and wrong. But as what we realized is that travelers are looking for a similar experience. They're not looking to come somewhere and have any less services. They want to enjoy themselves. They want to meet with family and friends, and they want to do that in a safe environment. So I do think going into the future, people will choose places that have, for example, strong healthcare systems, just in case they need them. I think people will go to places where they will not worry about traveling home, like Dubai, right? They know they've got the full opportunity. The airport's open. Nobody's changing the plans. But another thing we've seen, which I think is also something we're looking at for the future, is the length of travel has changed dramatically. We've had a massive influx of remote workers, people from all around the world who've chosen Dubai to live. And it could be for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Many now have decided they're staying here indefinitely. But it's quite interesting because it's a different type of tourism. They require different things, and I really have to commend the hotel groups. Obviously Accor plays a big role here, and the way they adjusted to this client was phenomenal. The way they changed the packages so quickly to this client was phenomenal. The other thing we're going to see is as markets open up, what we're seeing is they're going to discount very heavily, so we're going to see massive price fluctuations. We're also seeing that people want full cancellation options on flights, on hotels, on everything for the time being. These are the trends. We're not seeing changes in behavior. I can tell you that in towards the end of last year, we were up to around 33% of our usual capacity. Many people think Dubai was full. It's not actually true. We reached 1/3. And, we watched people's behavior. Yes, certain nationalities, we had to, ensure our inspectors were there all the time to make sure that people weren't getting too out of hand. But again, the behavior was, 98 to 99% compliance with all the precautionary measures. And the ability during COVID to adjust those measures as needed. If you find, it's getting too busy, just move the distance between tables from 2.5 meters to 3 meters. You need to have that agility. And that's the only way I think that the travel and tourism will continue to open slowly while COVID is still prevalent before everybody gets the vaccine. I think as well, we also need to think about families, because, a lot of families have gone through a lot with schooling and with everything else. And again, making sure that we're geared up to receive a lot more families than usual is something that we've really done. And definitely making sure that, we're catering to all types of people, at the same time. Holidays don't seem to be the holiday periods don't seem to be the only time now. It seems to be a constant flow.
I want to pick up on that point that Your Excellency you've just mentioned, which was the risk balancing, right? The desire of the visitors to basically have this famous no risk, all inclusive experience, right? And all inclusive, I don't mean monetarily, but just seamless is a better one. But perhaps also a good question to you, Sebastien. An awful lot of people or an awful lot of entity need to basically agree on how they're going to do business before somebody arrives at your doorstep with your valet, right? I mean, the country that needs to let people leave, the protocols that allow you to basically get the proof that you PCR negative, the airline, perhaps a tour operator, the ground handler, etc. How has that relationship changed at Accor? I mean, you presumably had to discuss a lot of how you rebalance the collaboration in getting the machine gearing. And has that been difficult, or has that been pretty much self-evident as of the circumstances?
Well, there's two answers in your question. One, with Your Excellency, you referred to it. In my words, when it comes to understanding the frontiers being open, the way you can behave, the destination you have access to within Europe, it is a mess. It's totally incoherent. Even for me, where I am, I don't know whether I can go freely to Milan or freely to Amsterdam. Can I stay 3 days in Geneva? Am I going to be locked down in London? It's unbelievable how difficult it is for all of us to read. So that's one aspect. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying it is very incoherent. The second thing, which is part of your question, Nick, is I am blessed, and I'm so surprised with the agility of the teams of Accor to adapt. Even though we don't know much, the teams on the ground, they know exactly who to receive, how to basically cater for them. You know why? It's because for the last 50 years, in any hotel, in any cities in the world, you have between 3 and 10 unforeseen events per day that you have to deal with a guest. So this is who we are. And in terms of safety protocols, Accor has been there for the last probably 20 years, and certainly for the last 9 months with an all safe protocol, which 98% of the network today is under that protocol. It's all fine. This is indispensable, but that's something you need to have embedded, but that's really not what people are going to be caring for. They want to know it exists. They want to have markers. But what Your Excellency, you said, everything about the next 4 months is going to be about local domestic travel, which we have to be super keen on. And the good thing for all of us, domestic or local means intra-regional. For me, somebody coming from Amsterdam to Paris, or somebody coming from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. The second thing is leisure. You're going to have enormous leisure rebound, and we have to cater for them. And Your Excellency is also right. That's going to be longer staycation, away from typical vacation weeks. People are going to come on a Wednesday afternoon. They're going to leave on Tuesday morning because they will have ability to work remotely from that hotel on Thursday and Friday, which is a blessing for all of us. And finally, which is probably the most difficult thing to tackle, is when you do a survey within the 280 million customers of Accor, half of them have stipulated and answered that what they're looking for the next 6 months is nature preservation, secluded destination, just to be within themselves and their family. Not that because they don't want to meet anybody, but they're looking for corporate social responsibility and to find back their lives with probably a smaller community, which could work very well in Dubai, by the way, because you have the benefit of both being in an urban city and enjoy everything you like about Dubai, and you can go into the desert and have wonderful 3 days in which you basically discover the sky and so many other beautiful things. So we have to listen better. Whatever we've imposed on people over the last 50 years, those days are gone behind us. Now we have to be audacious. We have to be open-minded. We have to act out of the box, and we have to be great listeners. And pricing will be the fifth element. The first going to be, what is the service? What is your brand? What is the destination, the experience? Pricing comes really at the last.
You just focused on leisure a lot, right? And you're right, and I can confirm that from living here as well. I mean, Dubai actually is much more of a leisure nature destination that is perhaps perceived by people that have never been here. Helal, are we working here in Dubai on providing incremental experiences in these kind of semi-isolated places, or it's just here and we're reactivating as it has to be? What are we doing here?
Look, I think I'll address that probably in three parts. First part is that, yes, we have seen a demand for our various offerings. So, whether it's the mountains in Hatta or the desert, as mentioned, a lot of marine related stuff people are really interested in. But what we've also seen is that, our high density places also are full, right? Full being up to the safety amount that's prescribed, because nowhere is allowed to go over a certain percentage. So if you take our mega malls, theme parks, people are loving the theme parks because they're not that busy, right? So we're seeing all that. Now I have to say that leisure tourism is not the only part. If you look over the last few months, we've held mega events here. So we had GITEX, which is the largest IT show in the world, the technology, and we had Gulf Food, which is the largest annual food show in the world, right? So Gulf Food was only last month, and GITEX was in December. We had a tremendous turnout from the international markets. Astoundingly, around half the people who came to Gulf Food had to go into quarantine on the way back. Can you imagine? So they decided to come to an exhibition because I don't know whether it was because of the business or they were just so desperate to get out, but they came to the exhibition to conduct business and knew they would have to go into quarantine on the way back. We were surprised. I mean, yes, all the precautionary measures were in place. People, we had mass surveys going on, and I think 98% found it extremely safe and the safest place in the world to conduct business. But the bottom line is that these business flows and the trade, needs to resume. And these type of online calls, they only go so far, and people want to interact directly. And I think what was said earlier about that family interaction as well is key. We're lucky enough to have a lot of 5-star properties, and even the 4-star properties here and 3-star properties, they cater to families, they cater to big groups. So, it's, when you look at that, that's what we're seeing demand for. We've had to cap the occupancy of hotels for this period at around 70% because a lot of them were trading up to 80 and 90%. But again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's something that we're probably going to hold for another sort of, this quarter at least, to make sure that everything remains smooth. And it's working. We just need to keep moving forward and adapting. And as was said earlier, we need to be agile, aggressive. We can't just keep standing down and stopping.
There's a number of questions that are coming in also from our audience that pick up on the theme of our teams, our employees, our ecosystem, and how what they have learned in these digital times. Sebastien, do you believe that as we return to a normal, are you going to get back different employees than the one that have left you left or that have gone to their home office 12 to 14 months ago? How are you preparing for them? Are they just going to say retour à la normale, return to normal, or are you going to get a different set of skill sets back?
Well, first time I'm actually being asked this question seriously. I think it's going to be a mix of two things. Number one, an enormous eagerness to be back together. So that's even for me. I cannot tell you enough how much I'm sick of being alone in my office. I want to be back on the ground. I want to hold my people in my arms, and I want to say simply, thank you, and an enormous thank you. So the team probably feel the same. They want to be back together. So for 6 months, I probably would say that they will probably be acting differently, probably greater humility, greater sense of caring, probably warmer sentiments versus each other. And it's going to be kind of a dream. But in 7 months from today, I think people are going to become who they were before. Doesn't mean they haven't learned from it. I'm just saying that I guess it's the hospitality business is still a blessed industry and will be blessed for the next 50 years. The one thing I have to tell you, which I've learned, and the team as well, is how interconnected we all are. And as big as Accor is, I can tell you, probably a third of what I've done over the last 9 months has nothing to do with Accor. Has to do with frontline nurses, doctors, vulnerable people, small bars, small restaurants, small cinemas, to make sure they don't die from this COVID crisis. My group only exists because people might stay 5 days within an hotel, a Pullman, or Raffles of the world, but I guarantee you, they'll go out every single day to visit, to learn, to meet the small bars, the small restaurants, and to understand somebody else's culture. If those people don't exist, I don't exist as well. So the one thing we all learn is don't be egocentric, don't think about yourself. It is a time to really help everybody around you and to do it warmly and financially if you could. And same thing for the owners. A lot of people are in distress. A lot of government subsidies have been given. We don't know the reality as of yet. It's only when those funds are going to have to be reimbursed that we're going to see the fragilized population. And at that time, which is between 6 months and a year from now, we have to be even more present than we were for the last 5 months. So that intertwine of that tourism industry came out as a shock to me because I feel greatly for the smallest and not as greatly for Accor, bizarrely.
Your Excellency, you are also an organization that is doing a lot to upskill the entire tourism workforce in the Emirates, right? You have DCT, you have Interlac, you have other elements that basically you've put at the availability of the industry and of the team colleagues of the industry to upskill them. Are you having discussions how that might change, where you need to put on more focus, or how do you see the interaction through your engagement with the workforce of tourism over the next 6 to 12 months in Dubai?
Look, I think we're quite lucky in Dubai because the workforce that comes here to work in the hospitality industry from all over the world, they're extremely passionate about the industry, and there is definitely a hunger for continuous learning, and there's a hunger for continuous improvement in service levels. We developed a system, as you know, with all the hotels where we're connected with them to really, report transparently on how service levels are going up and down based on social media and other things. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to sort of hone in on any specific points. And again, I think given the state of the industry today and given their cost control, that's become ever so important to make sure that, they're not overextending themselves and we don't have people disappointed with bad experiences. Now, right now, I think it's been fine because, there are certain limits on capacity. But, as we come through the summer, as mentioned, through the rest of the year, as we see the market growing again, we definitely, there's going to be a need to bring new people into the market, and definitely there's going to be a need to ensure that we conduct the necessary Dubai way of training to make sure that everybody's meeting the standards of service delivery. And I think that's the most important thing in the industry when it comes to the health and safety training and all of that. I think people have picked it up really well, so I don't see that as a risk at all.
So sounds like we're, from what I hear from both of you, right? So still a lot of work to do. We're still not out of the woods. It's going to be rather disjointed, and some markets will come back and open up faster and smaller. But I hear you both speaking very much in confident terms of saying it's not a matter of when, but how. Not a matter of how, but when it will happen, that we can go to full interconnectivity of source markets and of destinations. So if I could switch your attention a little bit to the future of the destination and the future of the hotel operator in such a destination as Dubai. And maybe starting with you, Sebastien. I mean, you basically mentioned it before. People for a brief period of time probably just wanted to get out of the house, went to their first post-lockdown staycation. I talked about me here actually, and I was just actually happy to be able to be somewhere else. But you're right. Slowly now, I expect pre-COVID levels of services and more, right? As a consumer always would. Is that realistic? And what are you doing, or what are some of your initiatives there that you think are going to be satisfying this hunger of new experiences by your visitors?
And Nick, you're absolutely right to expect it. And every client of tomorrow will expect more. But I like it so much better. For the last 50 years, probably until 10 years ago, all the Accor, all the hotel operators have been imposing our brands, our product, our lighting, our design in a mass market kind of way. Pushed it to the customers. For the last 15 years, exactly 360 degrees turnaround. Now we have to listen to what the demand wants, and then you basically have to adapt your product to the demand. So it's a very different way of acting and thinking. It's even going to be stronger in the next 20 years post-COVID. And I think the recipe for me is to accept something which I was looking forward for so long. Think about it a minute with me. 99% of our business for the last 50 years have been only to cater for somebody coming from a different city or different town. Or why? Because we're providing a bed and a shower. And that is actually stupid because we happen to be in the heart of so many destinations, and we have forgotten entirely about the local community, in which we have one of the 3 facilities open 24/7, hospital, police stations, and hotels. It is time to open your window, the doors to the local community, and to make your destination part of theirs. So all the social hubs, foodie content, all the artisan, the craftsmanship that you can incorporate within your facilities, the recipes of tomorrow, which is why we've invested so much into the lifestyle organization with the SLS, with Mama Shelters, with 25 Hours, with Delano, I can go on and on. It's precisely because the recipe and the success of those brands, 60% of the revenues has nothing to do with the bed or shower. It has to do with local community invading the space from 8 o'clock in the morning to 1 p.m. at night because they like the destination and they like what we do and they like the service and they like the people. So the adaptation for all of the Accor team is to finally treat as well, if not better, the guy who's actually working from the next street to your destination. Welcome him, and it's going to be even more of a success because the travelers wants to be in the trendy places, though they also want to interface. And you're talking about a writer, an investment banker, a lawyer, a grandfather, a student, does not matter who they are. Actually, they mix super well together. So finally, we're opening the world of hotels to not only 1.5 billion travelers, but 7.8 billion people on this planet. And that has a lot to do with also local procurement, how to save energies. There's a lot of CSR we can actually go into, but I love the days of tomorrow much better than the days of yesterday.
Focus, it was a perfect day for this mention to be. I mean, Helal, this morning, we've been able to read again that Dubai has announced yet again additional cool ways that you can live and work in different places, but that you can be a resident of Dubai, right? And you can basically, have it your way, to go with the old McDonald's saying, but in a very cool way, as a sign of confidence, saying, we want you here, we want you to be entrepreneurial here, we want you to be creative here. Can you share us a little bit what's the overall strategy, I suppose, be under these several announcements on new visa schemes that are being made available in Dubai to us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, one of the things that we're seeing around the world is we're seeing certain changes in the way people live and work. Even organizations, we're seeing decentralized organizations, and we're seeing remote workers being something that goes into the future. When you look at the way the UAE has really positioned itself, and again, this is through people coming here and doing that is a number of new things have been announced. So first of all, on the pure tourism side, we have the 5-year multi-entry visa, which is just a visa in the individual name that allows him to come in and out of the country for those countries requiring a visa pre-arrival, which would make travel much easier, can be spontaneous. He wouldn't have to apply for a visa every time. So that's one which was announced yesterday, which was something which we think is going to be very beneficial to us. We also have the remote working visa. It was a program before which was tested. And as you know, I said it was very successful. So now the visa has come out with very clear guidelines. And that is basically for people who are working for companies abroad but want to base themselves in Dubai. It's 1 year renewable. So, you don't need to make a long-term commitment, but you can also renew it and stay longer. That gives you full flexibility, and you're a resident. So you could open bank accounts, you can hire cars, you can buy property, whatever you need to do as a resident, you can do. You can send your kids to school, you can do anything else. So, we see that's been done through demand. There is demand for that, and that's why it's done. With regards to that, we also have announced over the last 12 months or so other products. So there is the retirement product, which is a 5-year visa for people 55 or over who wish to retire here. That one has also started off very successfully, and we're seeing, large numbers of people choosing Dubai as a home. I would also think that, given the, access to healthcare, access to, all types of facilities, it definitely is very attractive. The other one is the more long-term residencies. So, you see the golden visa program where you see, family offices, higher net worth and everything else wanting to move to a place that they can base themselves out of, that has a very good connectivity, time zone, everything else, to cover the world from. And that's also been going very, very well. And all these programs, I believe, somehow it's all linked to tourism because, it's people come and then they stay, and it's something that, in Dubai, we truly believe that, it's the future because people are going to become more mobile. People are not going to want to stay 12 months in one country when they don't have to. They're going to want to come 6-7 months here, maybe 2-3 months other places. So this really is what we're seeing in the future.
Sebastien, is that a segment, or at least the ones that do month at a time? Are you just going to lose them to Airbnb, or is there a play for somebody with your portfolio there as well?
Well, Nick, now I'm competing with everybody. I have to watch out. I have His Excellency who said publicly that he wanted Dubai to be the most visited, revisited, recommended city in the world. So now he's competing with Paris. So that's first step. Second statement of this morning, now he's competing with Cannes and Nice, which is a retiree population when they go there, and the rest for the next 5 years. Now you're talking about Airbnb, and you haven't mentioned Booking and Expedia and Google and Amazon. It's now, Nick, seriously, it's an interesting world. It's what you have done, Your Excellency, on the remote working visa. I have to say it. I have at least a dozen people in the months of January and February stayed in Dubai. They left London, they left Germany, and they were very, very efficient, probably more so than ever because they were happy persons. And they've been acting, and they've been accessible, and they've been responsive, and they move with their family. So it's not only you tested it, but I guess it's going to be displayed at scale. And I salute you for this because it is just remarkable. But what you referred to, put aside, forget about Airbnb. Airbnb is a formidable success. Half of the people travel because Airbnb exists. And 70% of people going to Airbnb, they also stay in a hotel. If you go for more than 4 days, a group of 4, you're likely going to Airbnb. If you come for less than 2 people, less than 2 nights, you're going to be staying with me. That is fine, and there's places for everybody. What I'm the most interested in, it's exactly what Your Excellency you talked about, is that remote working visa basically says to all of us exactly what we're doing today. I hate Zoom and Teams and all those genes that I guess you have to access to. I hate it because I'm going to lose probably 10% of my international business travel because they're going to be staying at home and do exactly what we do pretty efficiently. Of course, that's going to be surpassed by greater leisure travel. But the same tool is giving me an exceptional opportunity that ability to work from any place on this planet basically tells me that there is a new pivoting probably theme for Accor to get into, and which we are, is how to basically make your supply available for those people working from remote places, and that remote places being a bar, a restaurant, an auditorium, other hotels, someplace in this planet, where people do not have to go back to their offices, don't have to go 90-minute mass transportation, but within biking, walking, they can go to the 5,300 hotels of Accor and spend 2 hours and spend 3 days and go to Biarritz for 5 days, even though they live in Paris. That is a level of activity which is far greater than what I stand to lose on 10% international business travel. So it's just that ability to flex office and ability to work from any place on this planet. If we play it right, hospitality, we're being invented for this, which is caring for those people and welcoming them. So again, and we can do that in Dubai, we can do that in many cities. What we need is, and nothing else to say, because that being Your Excellency, I was in Dubai for 10 days myself in end of January. And I cannot tell you how, bluffed I was on, you have been multiplying by 2 or 3 the success of Bangkok. Bangkok was the city in the world for the last 20 years on getting that atmosphere of understanding a culture, understanding new food concept, getting access to beaches and so forth. Dubai now has so many different themes, different cultures, different people, different civilization, all that multicultural fabrics and preserving authenticity, it is so tough to replicate. And you've done it and make people so happy about their stay, which is why the revisited, you're absolutely right. Your repeat business going to be, and it is the cheapest to get because you don't have to ask, you don't have to pay basically keywords and acquisition costs for. I can go on this one, but you've done it, and I hope it could be replicated in so many other destinations without impacting Dubai. But that's a true recipe and so tough to do and takes probably years to get to where you are now.
No, I want to thank you for that comment, and I think look, we're very lucky by the passionate people that really, make the wider industry, including all the entertainment, the leisure, the restaurants happen. And I think with this remote working, I myself interviewed some remote workers from Europe and the UK, and I think when you heard them say it, it really showed how the future is. Wake up at 8 o'clock, go to the beach till midday, be back in my office for 1 o'clock Dubai time, which is 9 a.m. London time, do my day and then go out to dinner. When they could do that with their family, and put their kids in school or remote online at the same times, that was the sales pitch. So I wrote that down, and now that's becoming our sales pitch.
I'm looking at time just a little bit. I've asked some of the questions that are coming to me through the ticker, if you so will, but I would like to pick a few of them up again to also get to hear you on what seems to be the themes that are hot. One question that comes across a variety of variants is, I'll paraphrase it a little bit provocatively, but with everything that has happened to hotel workers or to tourism workers in the last 12 months, 13 months now, is it still a good idea to consider a career in hospitality or in tourism, I should say in tourism, and how can we reconnect and perhaps at times even recreate trust with our colleagues in the hospitality and tourism sector that may have lost their livelihood over the last 12 months? And I think that's a good question actually to both somebody from industry and somebody from a destination. So perhaps I'll start with you, Helal, if you're comfortable taking this one first, and then afterwards from a hotel perspective, hearing it from you, Sebastien.
Look, I think the bottom line is that this pandemic, from an economic perspective, we talked earlier about, from a safety perspective and everything else, no one can deny this. This has been, affected negatively so many industries in so many ways, and of course, the hospitality industry is at the heart of that. I mean, I would say it's probably the second worst affected after the entertainment industry and the events industry, which also, has had a really hard time. The bottom line is that, this pandemic is a one-off event, right? It's not a systemic issue with the hospitality industry. It's not like previous maybe downturns where there were serious underlying systemic issues or industry, sector issues that needed to be resolved. This one, the good news is we can see through to the other side. Public markets are looking through this. People's optimism around the world is looking through this, and we are getting through to the other side. I think there were very few industries that were not affected and people's livelihoods were not affected. And I believe that the hospitality industry is going to come back, in a very big way. And, governments are going to invest, a lot in growing this industry. I mean, one thing from Dubai, if you look at the 2040 master plan and His Highness's vision for Dubai to be, the best place in the world to live, you can see the doubling down on tourism in that vision. The number of tourist destinations within Dubai is going to be doubled between now and 2040, the attractions and everything else. So I would say when it comes to Dubai and it comes to His Highness's vision, which, by the way, we've consistently delivered throughout every downturn and every pandemic, while people maybe write negatively in the international media of Dubai, Dubai is quietly delivering, So I would say the hospitality industry is something that we're going to continue to invest massively in. And definitely, I would recommend it is something which is going to be very high growth into the future.
Brilliant. Sebastien, my daughter is going to graduate in 3 years, and hotel school is one option to what Daddy did. Should she do a hotel school, or should she not go study IT, which seems to be safer these days?
The answer is very, very simple. If you care for others, if you understand what human capital means, then the answer is positive. If you go and you want to create wealth, and if you don't care about interfacing with anybody else, if you love to have earset, being facing a computer, then go to Google, go to Facebook, go to Amazon. I define them as being cold industry. I define hospitality as being a warm industry. Everything we do is about human interaction. I may see you 5 minutes or 3 days. I have a chance and a privilege to have seen you. And if I do a good job, you would have learned something from me and I would have learned something from you. I have nothing against the big GAFA and the Alibaba of the world. I respect them tremendously. They've created something unbelievably strong. But they never meet any of their clients. It's even worse. They call them users. We're just a number for them. So there's two things about hospitality. One, it's a warm industry. Two, it is the only place in which many people can come and make a true value and differentiating factor, being non-educated. Accor hires every year 80,000 new people. 30,000 we lose, which is 10% of the workforce turnover, which is absolutely understandable and legitimate. And 50,000 we hire because we open one hotel a day. So when you open 365 hotels, you need 50,000 people. And half of these 80,000 people have no baggage. They start with just not knowing anything. We teach them basically how to work, and then they leave after 4 or 5 years because they have better self-esteem and they're probably a stronger person. So the beauty of our industry is it's all about human capital. You have every single team members have a true role, which is a key ingredient of success. And as you said, it is so full of challenges. If you have great degrees and if you like the risk, come with me, because I can tell you I'm battling against everybody. And that's fun to do because somebody's going to hit me next. It was Airbnb 6 years ago. That was Booking probably 15 years ago. Who's going to be next? Would it be Amazon? Would it be Google? Would it be Alibaba? Just adapt to it. So there's a role for everybody, but you have to be accepting that risk level, and you have to adapt, and you have to be audacious. Otherwise, go to another industry. If you don't want to take the risk, and if you don't like other people, don't come with me because I have no need for you.
Do you have to do an active come back to me campaign, or because people have left into other industries, Sebastien, or are they just saying, look, we've been waiting, we're ready as soon as you open your door, or somewhere in between? What?
I'll give you a bizarre answer. 95% of the 300,000 people work in a hotel. Only 5% work in headquarters.
Yeah.
And put aside the top 20 of a 200 hotel team, the other 180 people, even if they don't have great education, don't you worry, I'll take care of themselves. And some of them are so much better than somebody who's been going to an MBA at Harvard. So I have plenty of people. We just have to train them, and we have to show them our hand.
Very cool. So we'll see that one back to you soon. Now we have about 8 minutes left. Trying to be very Swiss about the time that is in front of me. Helal, it's actually going to be a very cool year, right? We have Expo ahead of us. We have a slight relaxation, hopefully, of all the limitations on us. Would also like you to perhaps take a quick look, not a quick look, but share your views on what Dubai's 2040 master plan means for tourism. Would you just take us through what we're looking forward to and what's going to happen over the next 9 months in the tourism ecosystem in Dubai?
Look, I think I'd probably answer your question in two parts. First of all, when it comes to the tourism ecosystem, we have a very exciting rest of the year. First and foremost, we've got the summer, right? So with the summer, we have our usual summer surprises where we are really focused on welcoming the world. Now, many people don't know this, but you know, from many countries like the UK and others, August is the busiest month every year, right? So we really do have a large number of tourists generally coming in. Now, when we look at forward bookings and we look at demand on the booking sites, we look at demand on our systems, which show us how many people are looking at Dubai and how many people are trying to book Dubai. We see a massive spike in demand starting from late June this year. So if markets do open up, right, and I have to really maybe take a segue here, because one of the things we really, all of us learn, is that we recognize how much the world is interconnected. And we also saw that, each country in the world needs to really implement these stringent measures, because the ones who haven't, are delaying it for the rest of us, So, this type of global challenge really, we can't solve it in isolation. So this is the sidestep, because the context I'm giving is we have a very exciting summer, which we have everything back open, followed by the Expo opening, which is welcoming the world. And even if you look at different countries that are closed today, like New Zealand and others, you can see the governments have already said how they're looking forward to Expo, and they see it as a way to meet the world again. And it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, those of you in Dubai, you can go and visit the site. It's really going to be something like the world has never seen before. The last part of this, and definitely not the least, is it's our Golden Jubilee, right? So it's the UAE's Golden Jubilee. This is for us, the most important celebration, and the date of our union is in December this coming year. So we're seeing very exciting times. We're looking forward to it. We're really looking forward to welcoming the world.
So a good program for us, all of us who are here already. Thank you for that. Sebastien, as you look into the UAE, the region, also looking at your new products that you're developing, some of the new, start again initiatives. What do you have something we can look forward to over the next 6 months, other than finally staying with you again and actually getting to know your teams again?
I have to tell you, the fastest pace of development for Accor for the last 9 months has been in the Middle East region, all over the Middle East. It's just, I'm fascinated by, again, the vision, the planning, the executions of all the tourism plan of Dubai and your neighborhood countries is a true example. The fact that, I guess, Your Excellency, you're going to be relaunching Dubai global events. The fact that, I guess, it's likely to be physical for, of course, Dubai 2020. It is a huge sign of confidence, and we need those signals to the outside world. So I'm always looking at the glass half full, and I told you when we started, it's only a question of vaccination. We have we basically have today the ways to respond to this COVID crisis. Of course, it's going to be staying a bit longer, but the minute the vulnerable population has been vaccinated, life's going to come back gradually, but of course it's going to come back. And for me, it's probably 2 months away. But I could have said that to you in November, and here am I, early in mid-March, in the turmoil again in France. I have to be pretty humble about it. But no, it's you don't know. The first thing I'm going to do when it reopens, I'm going to go for 30 or 40 countries of Accor, and I'm going to be meeting a group of 25 or 35 people locally and spend 2 days with each of them. That necessity of being back together has never been so immense as of today. Never, ever. I hope they need me as much as I need them. But if you have tens of thousands of meetings of 30 people, that's going to be as good as large conferences with 10,000 people. So, and if we can do both, then I'd be a very happy guy.
Brilliant. So thanks for not just for our audience, but also for myself personally. So we have still a little bit of insecurity ahead of us, which is probably just a fact of life any given time. But Dubai is ready, got an awesome program, got a plan in place. It's a special year besides COVID, with the Golden Jubilee, with Expo, with a host of new offers that are targeted towards the staycation segment, which is fully open, of course, also to international visitors. Sebastien, you are ramping up your teams again, and you have done so forever. They are looking forward to it. They're hot to meet their clients, to start interacting, transacting, and engaging again. I think I look forward to summer more now than an hour ago. And I think that's an important message that we perhaps want to send out to the audience here and the audience that will hear this interview over a number of channels. Thank you for showing us a way forward out of the gloom into the excitement. Your Excellency, Helal Almarri, thank you very much for your time today. Sebastien, Bazin, it was phenomenal also to listen to you. Thank you very much. And I think that concludes our interview today with 20 seconds to spare. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sebastien.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.